Once you find yourself in conflict with a narcissist, it's a virtual guarantee they're going to start playing head games with you. That's why I put together a new course. It's very extensive called Anger Games. I'm going to teach you how to manage anger and conflict with a narcissist. There's a link below that's going to show you how to register, and I hope that you find it to be very insightful. The deeper you go into the direction of understanding the whole pattern of narcissism, I'm hoping you can see that actually narcissism is its own failed attempt at pain management. Narcissists carry a great deal of psychological pain due to their fear of being judged, their fear of being rejected, their fear of being deemed as irrelevant, their fear that comes from having been shamed for not measuring up or just thinking that the possibility of not measuring up is just out there. And as a result, they tend to cover their flaws. They live behind the veneer of a false self. These individuals don't know what to do with their internal pain. Now, if you're on Team Healthy, and I hope the vast majority of you are joining me on that one, you'd realize, hey, we can address personal and psychological pain, and it starts with the thought that says, let's talk. Let's put it out there. Let's be honest about who we are and look at our strategies and our choices and our options and learn how to build a strength from the inside out. And the narcissist, when you go into that kind of space with them and say, let's talk, it's like, I don't do that. Because you see, to them, talking things out and revealing who they really are from the inside out means that they become vulnerable, and that means that they are set up for that much more pain, and they don't want to do that. To the narcissist, they have all sorts of presumptions that they bring into the relationship with you that cause them to push all of their vitriol onto you. The narcissist thinks openness is something that's too dangerous. Exposing the real me is going to make me lose my power. It's going to make me lose my prestige. I hate feeling controlled. Therefore, I'm just going to become the one who must be in control. You think you're going to dominate me? I've got news. I'm going to dominate you. I mean, let me give you a couple examples. There was this one woman that was known at her place of work as being kind of a 50-year-old version of the mean girls, and week to week, it would just be like, well, who's going to be on her bad list this week? And as a result, she was known for putting blame on somebody else for something not going well at work, or just treating somebody in a very caustic and harsh kind of way, and wasn't bashful about it. And then, of course, if you were there at work, you would learn that that mindset expanded beyond just work. It was in social settings and family settings and all. It's like, no, I have to find somebody that I'm going to target and put my pain onto. Or another, and this is a very common scenario, there was an elderly man who had his grown children and his grandchildren, and it was just known. When you go hang around with grandpa, you're going to be on the receiving end, someone's going to be on the receiving end of blaming statements and harsh, caustic attitudes, and this man was strong enough and had enough influence, mostly related to money, that people didn't want to come against him, and because if they did, then they were going to be the receptacle for his pain. And as a result, he would target all sorts of different individuals. He was very known for being bigoted, etc. That's how these individuals operate. They have no sense of awareness of who they are from the inside out, and in their mind, it's like, I don't want to understand you. I don't want you to know who I am. I don't really care about who you are either. All I know is if there's a discomfort on the inside of me, I'm going to go paint that target on your back, and I'm going to take target practice on you as many times as I can, and then they just change who the target's going to be on. That's how they operate. Now, you see, when you and I would come into our adult years, hopefully it would dawn on us in those late adolescent, early 20s time frame that we can actually begin to develop some strategies of life that take into account various kinds of insights regarding human nature and the meaning of our emotions and our anger, and we can learn to modulate and realize, okay, just because someone else out there feels or says something doesn't mean I have to take it to the bank as solid gold. I can have my own separate and distinct thoughts. Narcissists are stuck. They're fixated in pre-adolescent thinking. They've never entered into that full adult way of problem solving because, again, going into their interior is too painful. They don't want to go into that space. So when you're the target, know that there are going to be various roles, if you will, that you're going to fulfill for the narcissist. You're going to be a receptacle. You're the one who's designated to receive the garbage that they carry on the inside of themselves on that particular day. You're going to be a useful idiot. They're going to try to use you up, and they'll treat you in a demeaning way. And as long as you go along with them, it's like, okay, I'll keep doing that. And they'll treat you as poorly as they can get away with. You're going to be a nemesis. If you do have a separate thought or an idea, it's like, well, then I've got to show you who's boss. And so they'll take it as a challenge to come against you. You are certainly an ongoing nuisance to them in their way of thinking. And ultimately, as they target you with all of their hurt on the inside, you're going to be an object of ridicule. It's easier to put you down than it is to examine oneself. When narcissists put a target on you, they use the term that I've spoken about it before of dehumanization, the concept of dehumanization. They don't want to know your backstory. They don't know who you are because that implies that there might be a reciprocal effort there, and they don't want you to know about them. So they just go into bullying, insults, shunning, smear campaign, non-cooperation. That's what I mean when I say they put a target on you. Now, why? Why do they feel like they need to do that? And the number one answer is overwhelmingly obvious, and that is it deflects attention away from their own internal disarray. They have almost no insight regarding who they are. They have no insight about you. All they want to do is play power games, and the less thinking that's involved, and the better it is for them. They're just reactors, and they want you to buy into your role. Now, what would it be like if you decided, I'm not opting in? I don't want to play the role that targeting, dehumanizing narcissist wants to put me in. I have some decisions to make that are going to allow me to be very separate and distinct from that person. What would it be like if you were to take hold of a wise and self-caring kind of a mindset as you decide to opt out of the role or the position that the narcissist wants to put you into? Here are a few thoughts. You can opt out by first reminding yourself that the narcissist targeting behavior is in fact strong evidence of their own psychological disarray. In other words, as you engage with them and try to figure out how you're going to respond, remind yourself who you're dealing with. You're dealing with an emotionally stunted individual who has not grown up. No matter how much prestige they may have in the performance arena, or how much money or power or whatever it is they have, these are very underdeveloped individuals. Then keep in mind that as you engage with them, their predictably negative attitudes as they target you do not constitute truth. And there's no need for you to debate with someone who doesn't have a truthful beginning. You can't get anywhere with someone if they're not operating on just plain old common sense. Then, when necessary, it may be that you'll even be willing to draw attention out loud, if you dare, to the way that you are different. For example, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be persuasive, but when the narcissist targets you and tells you how terrible you are, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you might simply say something like, we think differently. Or, I know that what you think matters to you, but it's not consistent with what I think. And just say it. And they're going to hate it, and you don't have to elaborate. When they just come at you and say, well, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, or I'll make you pay, then my next response is going to be, I've said what I'm going to say. In other words, just be brief and just let it be known. If they're going to blather on and on, I'm not going to engage with you. I think very differently. Then, as they continue or persist, I don't mean to be rude, but in your mind, you can just kind of have a whatever or what's new kind of an attitude towards them. At some point, it's a matter of realizing I just happen to be a player on this person's stage. If I weren't here, someone else would be fulfilling or be the target, and they would be the one that they would want to fulfill the role that they've assigned to me. And it's like, this is on them. And if they think that I'm going to take it way too seriously when they pronounce me to be awful and terrible and all like that, what's new? Whatever. You may say it out loud. You probably wouldn't. I don't blame you for that. But in your mind, it's like this person is not something I want to attach to. And your detachment becomes your way of opting out. I'm not even going to get into the arena with you. I'm hoping that when you realize that that narcissist has put a target on you and have said, I'm going to find out all sorts of bad things about you. I'm going to say things. Truth is expendable. Who cares about that? I just need somebody to unload my pain onto. That you can decide, you know what? My best recourse is to live in common decency. And I'm going to use a bit of common sense in the way that I engage with these folks. I'm not dealing with somebody who has the capacity for healthy interaction, and I'm going to hold on to that. And if the narcissist persists in taking pot shots at you, taking target practice on you, you can't control that. What you can do is you can minimize your contact with that person as much as possible, live a very distinct and separate way of life from that individual. And when they say, get back over here, I've still got some more target practice I'm going to utilize on you, it's like, thanks, but no thanks. And your ultimate shield against them targeting you is trusting yourself and then living into that self-trust that says, I have a separate set of priorities that I'm going to live into, and this individual is not going to be at the top of my list in terms of worrying about who I'm going to be. I'm going to consult my own good decency. That's what I anchor in. Now, I hope that videos such as this can give you some good awareness of what you might be dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. You know that I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com, and that's if you're in need of therapy, whether you're in the States or in Europe or other places around the world, that you might be able to look into the sponsor that we have, and it's an online counseling service, therapy service, whole team of licensed professional therapists. It can be so helpful to have somebody sit down and say, let's talk. And let's figure this out. Let's find out who you are, what you're up against, and it can really be life-changing. So invest in yourself if that's the need that you have. And like I said, we have the link for that. Now, you know that I'm a therapist. I'm retired from my therapy practice. But what I've done is through the years, I've put together some courses online, and we have access for those. It's like signing up for an online class. Each course has at least 25 videos, and each video has very extensive handouts that go along with each one of them with guided questions. We have my new one. It's called Anger Games. It's about how not to get sucked into all of the anger that the narcissist wants to pull you into. I'm very pleased with that one. We also have This Is Me, about boundaries, free to be finding yourself despite the controllers, Ready, Set, Connect, about having healthy connections. In addition to that, on my website, we also have my webinars, which are 90-minute presentations, a bit different. Those are still available along with my articles, access to my podcast, my books. So we have plenty of resources. Please avail yourself to that. Okay, the narcissist wants to take aim at you. They want to use you for target practice. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be your designated target. And the best way to opt out is to have a psychological and mental notion that says this person is not someone that I take my marching orders from. I'm going to be me. And as you do, I hope that it leads you to a consistent life of steadiness, and ultimately that you're still able to live inside your peace. Despite their efforts to the contrary, you can be a person of peace.